This video will serve as the talking version of my application profile. And welcome to my world. I was born in 1999, which means that I'm 19 years old, and I'm currently taking a gap year. And I'm also applying to Friendly International College. Jinx. I was born in Hanoi, and I lived technically my whole life here, and it is such a beautiful city. Let's see, what else do I have to say about myself? I'm pretty cunning, pretty determined. However, I'm not very resolute. Should my friends are here to say, I don't know, 3 words about me, I suppose they would say that I'm a crazy, a dynamic, and a coffee lover. So, let's get into my gap year. To be honest, I haven't planned for this gap year. It came up as a result of a series of events. It all started since last November. I was actually applying at that moment, but then there was some incident happened in my family. My grandfather took a fall, and when I say took a fall, I mean literally he fell from the second floor of my house 6 meters to the first floor. So you can see that that was such a shock to everyone, and every activity stopped. Everything stopped for a moment, and by a moment here, I mean 2 long months, so that we can prepare everything. Well, he's fine for now, but then my application process back then was delayed, and by the time I got back into my process, it was way too late for all the deadlines. I have 2 choices. The first is to take a gap year, do what I like, do those that I have yet had the chance to do in the last 12 bloody hell years. And second is to enroll in a university in Vietnam. Now, this is the point. There is no such thing called creative writing in Vietnam. There is no such courses to teach you on how to write, to teach you on how to think to write. And I just love writing. That's it. So I said to myself, I can choose between going to an economic course to satisfy my parents' need. They will probably be able to get me a job when I finish the university, but then I would have to spend my whole life doing something very boring, and I definitely don't like those tedious activities. And I'm a risk taker. And so I chose to take this path. I chose to take a gap year despite all the disapproval of my parents, and I chose to follow my dream, is to become a writer or a journalist. Something like that. Well, it's certainly not clear, but you know. So what have I been doing for the last year? My gap year started since, let's say, June. Since last June, when I finished my graduation series test. And for the last year, I've been doing a lot of things. I have more time to write. I have more time to dig deeper into such activities as Model United Nations, as a volunteer program called Imperfection Project, and I'm currently doing a very big project about Model UN, which is the Model United Nations Institute in Vietnam. Now, this part will be used to give you some insights about my activities about that, as well as my previous activities when I was in high school. The first series of activities that I want to mention in this video is my activities on student politics. During high school, I used to be the class representative for the whole high school, and at the beginning of grade 10, I was nominated into the student union. Now, I really like these activities because being the class representative gives you the feel like, let's see, like you're Rex Tillerson representing the United States of America to meet the other persons other Minister of Foreign Affairs of other nations, the school is very solid and the classes have a very close connection and a very bonding community, pretty much similar to Franklin and Marshall. We were able to create a series of activities together, and since I was the vice president of the student union, that part got even easier. When it comes to the vice president of student union, it's like, so I feel like Nikki Haley sitting at the United Nations Security Council every time we have a meeting at the student union. My duty was to organize events for the students in my school to make sure that everybody was happy with the way the school was working, with the way the activities are being pulled out. Last but not least, I see myself as a bridge. I see myself as something to connect the students with the teachers. All the ideas of my classmates and my friends in the school will come through me. And I have the mission to transfer those ideas to my teachers. And the teachers will consider those proposals. And well, it may work, it may not work, but then lastly, our voice is heard. And that is something I really love about being in the student union and being the class representative. I managed to pull off a very big event called Youth Festival. It was a camping day at my school. It lasts for a day from the morning to the evening. We have music, we have food, and people can just wiggling and mingling around with their friends and their teachers. And it is a day that there is no boundaries between teachers and students. We're all the same. We were all just people hanging out on a Saturday morning and having fun. And that is the thing that I'm proud most about this activity. I was managed to, for a day but for a day, erase all the boundaries between classes and students with teachers and vice versa. Furthermore, there are many smaller activities that I have created, such as the performances of my class. So the next thing I want to talk about is my writing career. I love to write, and I recognize that since grade 10. And at grade 11, I tried to participate in the literature elite team of the school. And I just love to read and write. There were days that I could spend all days editing and thinking about my prose, about my little products of writing. And that intrigued me. I've never been so engaged in something. So the first thing in particular of writing that I should tell you is an activity called Shades of Hanoi. So Shades of Hanoi is, at first, it was just a Facebook page. It was created to tell everybody how beautiful this city is, to tell everybody how lovely Hanoi can be, and also to tell everybody that it can get a little bit bitchy sometimes. But then, as time went by, our ideas got bigger and we got way more ambitious. We want to publish. We want to do a monthly product, a monthly magazine about the city, about the people who are living inside it, about what's happening inside it, about everything inside Hanoi, everything about it. It was, at first, a crazy idea, something that we, the high school kids at grade 11 and grade 12, could never think of. We publish, actually doing something, writing, publishing a product. But then, the crazier it gets, the more ambitious and determined the team gets. And we put a lot of things on that. We put a lot of efforts on the activity on Shades of Hanoi. And we managed to do it once. We managed to publish an online magazine for everybody. The most comforting thing is that although I think it could have been better, we could have done way more better, the design could have been better, The writings inside it could have been better. Everything could have been better. But the citizens of Hanoi love them. And that is a very big kudos for us. Apart from Shades of Hanoi, I also do other writings personally for me. I'm a blogger. I write on Facebook. As much as I am clumsy at saying my words out loud, as you can say it right here, I think I'm pretty good at putting all the ideas out on a page with pens and papers. That's everything I need to indicate myself, to say that this is me, this is what I think, this is how I feel, and this is how I express my opinions. I also do some intellectual and academic writings. For now, I'm doing on literature, how literature and sociology has to do with each other, and how literature can affect the society. And I'm doing great progress on that. Now, last but not least, I want to talk about Model United Nations. If we consider writing as my wife, then Model UN would be my biggest affair. I love this activity is because for once, I get to be something greater than myself. I get to represent millions of people, to represent an ideology, to be something bigger than myself. Yeah. For now, I have participated in a variety of conferences, both as delegate and as content developer. I used to be the head of content department for one conference, and now the biggest project of all is to make Model United Nations a career, since in Vietnam and I think globally it's just an activity and no further than that. Here in Vietnam at Model United Nations Institute in Vietnam, we're trying to make it bigger. We're trying to make it more widely known by people, by students in Vietnam, because we think that it is a very helpful activity for students to get to engage in. The project is still pending and we're still on the preparing process, and there are a lot of things to do. We're in hard times, but I'm positive that we can make it. Now, that was the end of the insights into my activity. I will now move into the next section, which is my thrilling and really fun application process. Yay! Well, it was not so much fun. It was at times very desperate for me, but we'll get to that later. Firstly, that's the reason why I chose Franklin and Marshall Calling. Now I know that there is an optional question on that, and I have answered that, but I still feel obligated to include this part into this video and to dig deeper on that part. Now, as I said before, in this form right here, Franklin and Marshall Calling is the only calling that stood up in my head when people asked me, bro, have you chose your university? The other colleges at university seems all alike, and their uniqueness were either not appealing enough for me or not suitable for me. And there was Franklin and Marshall standing right there, and I feel intrigued. I feel that there's something inside this small college that might be suitable for me, and so I dig deeper and deeper on that. There are schools like Stanford, like Harvard, who look for talented people who were born as genius, who were gifted since they were born. Franklin and Marshall is not a college like that. I think you are looking for those with potentials. I think you were looking for those who possess talent but have yet been able to put them all out, have yet been able to grow their talent, their capability, their abilities fully. And I feel that I have something to give. I have something to develop in this environment. I have something to give it into this community. And so I choose Franklin and Marshall College, a place to cultivate talent. When I began my application process, I was very excited. and that excitement dropped miserably as soon as I see the workload of things that I have to do. There were so many questions on CommonApp, and 2/3 of them were those that I was not familiar with. There were so many terms and new definitions that I have to get used to, so many things to fill in, and I really have to ask my parents for information that I thought I knew. So the application process was very tiring, I must admit. At some point it was desperate. It was when I can't think of an idea for my personal statement. It was when I can't think of a way to present all my informations correctly and properly on CommonApp. Every time at those desperation moments, I spoke to myself, remember why you're doing this. Remember that you're doing this for a better future. Remember that you're doing this to prove yourself, to get to know about yourself. And so I got myself back up and just moved on. In Vietnam, now I don't know if this happened in America or other nations, but in Vietnam there are lots and lots of English centers that helps the students on the application process. If you have $4,000 or $5,000 to pay them, they would do everything for you from A to Z. They would fill in your application process with your information. They will have courses to help you with IELTS and TOEFL and SAT. They will have classes, one-on-one counselor and student to help you with your personal statements and your optional questions. They will have days for you to choose the universities and college for you. You can actually pay for them to get you to a university in America. There are many centers that cheat on the application process. They fake information of the applicants. I just hate the fact that they are doing that only for money. All they care about is fame, their income, and how to get as much students overseas as possible. And that, for me, that's just morally unacceptable. And so I chose to apply all by myself. I chose to get online, search for the terms, and do the questions all by myself to fill in my common application. And it helped me a lot. The internet helped me a lot in this process. There were times that I struggled at 2 a.m. in the morning thinking how to fill in this very small and particular sector of the CommonApp, because the education system of the America is way different from that of Vietnam. So there should be some transfer from Vietnam to America, from one system to another. And the internet helped me a lot on that. However, it proved to be a total loser when it comes to personal statement. When I searched online how to write my personal statement, there were so many ideas saying that you gotta be unique, your product has to be original. But then they did not say what unique has to be, what original means. And I was stuck. I was stuck between the ideas of doing an academic essay or doing a very informal writing, something as spontaneous as this video. Although I spent lots of time to write and erase and rewrite and re-erase everything from time to time, the personal statement came to me in a very natural way, in a trivial but gentle way. And at this moment, I love my personal statement, since it may not be the best personal statement, it may not be the best product I've ever made, but it defines me. It tells a story that defines me. And I do believe that by reading that personal statement, you can get an understanding about myself, about how my mind works, how I think, how I see life through my lens. And that was my personal statement. As I said before, the application process could get very desperate. But then I like it because I get to know myself more in this process. I get to learn about myself, to actually sit down and think, okay, what do I have to offer them? What do I want them to see in me? What aspect of me and my characteristics do they want to see? And it gives me an understanding about myself that I have never got a chance to do before. It is from this application process that I learned that I love literature more than I think. It is through this application process that I know that I am capable of doing things. I am capable of doing activities that at first seemed desperately impossible. But then I did it. I actually did it. The application process to me was a journey of finding myself, of defining myself, and of showing myself to everybody, of making a statement saying that this is me and I am going for that place. I am going to places. I am going to that college. And I'm very happy for that. Now, we are coming to the very last part of this video, which is to talk about my future plan. Well, I gotta have a plan. If Franklin and Marshall doesn't work, then a plan B must be immediately active. And so I think I will finish my gap year, whether I get accepted or not. I would put all my time and effort into Model United Nations Institute in Vietnam because I think that it is something worth working on. It is something that can have a bright future if I give my A game into that. I will continue with my writing career. I will try to write as much as possible. And Shades of Hanoi is trying to do a book. Actually, this afternoon, after this video, I would come to meet the team of Shades of Hanoi and we would sit down together and edit all of our products and writings to send that to the publisher. Last but not least, I think if I am not accepted to Franklin and Marshall College, I think I would have to consider the fact that I have to go to a university in Vietnam. But I think I'll choose literature. Although my parents are not happy with that. My parents think that economics is the best. Despite all the disagreement of my parents and my family, trust me, my whole family dislike me learning literature, I still think that I will follow this path of writing, of learning literature, of proving that literature is important. It is as important as economics, as being a police. Being a writer is as important as being a politician, a mathematician, a scientist. I believe that literature and writing can change the world. That's actually why I'm applying, because I want to change the world. And Franklin and Marshall hopefully will be my first milestone. If you ask me what I'm feeling right now, then I would say that I feel fine. I appreciate the fact that I've put effort in this process, and I'm pleased to see that I've grown up by applying into Franklin and Marshall. Yeah, I think I'm pleased and I'm happy with the application process. I would just finish this video and then edit it and then post it on YouTube so that I can paste the link into CommonApp. Oh, one thing that I forgot to mention is that the whole video, this is a one-shot video, meaning that we only do it once and there won't be any re-filming. I want to do that to deliver me in the most natural way, without editing too much, without putting too many filters in a picture. So I hope that through this video you can get a glance of who I am, and I can transfer all my energy and all my passion for what I'm doing right here to you guys. I think that there are some moments that I sound a little bit bragging about my activities, that I sound a little bit arrogant about them. I'm really sorry if I give you that impression. It's just me talking about my activities and what I have done passionately. I guarantee that all the information in my profile and in this video is true. And how do you guys know that? You guys just have to trust me. You guys just gonna have to trust me that I'm saying all the truth, that I'm not lying about myself. Thank you for creating such an environment like Franklin and Marshall Colley, and thank you for reading my profile.